finally got some logic in this tournament. Germany keeps dominating these FIBA tournaments in the last 3 or 4 years. We just said with Augustus, it's their fourth time they're in the semifinals out of those last four tournaments.
Yeah.
Second time in the finals.
Second time in the final.
And potentially they're aiming for the second gold medal in this Olympic cycle. I mean, historical performance so far. They won against Finland 98-86. With 19 points, this is the most by any team in the EuroBasket semifinals since 1987. They also had 90 or more points in 7 of their 8 games in this tournament. Again, only Soviet Union in 1985 had more. And they also had second highest scoring first half in the EuroBasket since 1985 with 61 points. Historically good offense.
Yeah, and
we could put it this way.
Very fun to watch as well. And probably the reason why this was such a fun game to watch was because Finland also likes to play this game of fast transition offense, fast possessions, not thinking too much. And both teams, the way they set the tempo, Augustus, you said it as well in the office, like it's such a fun offense to watch when they're taking those first early option threes and then running on the break as soon as they can. And actually that's how Germany built their first lead, that they kind of kept the whole game. The game was close. It was Finland's fast start. They managed to stop the first few possessions of Germany, and they ran actually. At first, they ran. They had a nice transition offense. They did that hedge and plug defense that you were saying. That Finland does and doesn't let short roll passing. Doesn't let.
Dennis Schroeder made 2 turnovers to start the game. Just because he was trying to pass to the short roll, and then Finland got to some.
And I felt like Finland's plan was to allow Germany to shoot the threes at first, and then see which night are they having. Are they having the night from the previous 2 games, or are they shooting like they're usually shooting? So this time around, it was one of those better nights. Germany was shooting well, but the point being that as soon as Finland stopped making shots, Germany just took the ball and just ran with it. Every single time Finland turns the ball over or misses a shot, Germany's already on the other end and they're just scoring transition buckets. I think it was a 14-1 run, all points coming from transition. And the game went from -7 for Germany to +7.
I think this game was just about, transition, historical offense, but also one thing that showed and one thing that built the lead for Germany was just Finland's inexperience and Germany's experience. We are mentioning these stats that it's Germans' fourth time they are actually in the semifinals, 4th year in a row. Finland is here for the first time in I don't know how long. And Ever, yeah. So you can see the experience from Germany's side. I mean, 3 or 4 times in the first quarter, and when that run happened, Finland did not foul, did not stop the transition, even though they had fouls before bonus to give. And Lassi Tuovi takes the timeout after Germany started their run, and he says, "I don't want to hear," because players on the bench were probably talking about like we don't want to get unsportsmanlike, and Lassi Tuovi is like, "I don't want to hear you talk about unsportsmanlike foul. Just make the damn foul and let's see what happens then." Because 4 times in a row, Finland did not stop the break. They got so many early baskets from Germany, and actually this is what built that lead that stayed around those 10 points for throughout the match. And we saw a lot of Mika Muurinen jumping on every fake, a lot of turnovers in the fourth quarter by Finland just because they're rushing too much. So Germany's experience and Finland's inexperience showed a lot in this game.
Yeah, that was a weird stretch because they had only 1 team foul the first 9 minutes of the game. Then suddenly in the second quarter, they started fouling everything. So they had 14 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the second quarter. But this crazy stretch was just insane. Finland was up 18-11 after the first 5 minutes of the game. And then the next 10 minutes, Germany won that break by 35-10. So
Okay.
Oh.
when Finland was trying to figure out how to stop the transition offense, I mean, it basically was too late. And I mean, Germany is just too good at it. I mean, in transition offense, they create the most transition possessions per game. Their average is 12 per game. And what was interesting, why we had this fun to watch game, because Finland is also top 3 in transition offense, but nobody else executes so well. Germany scores in transition 7.5 times per game, and the second best average belonged to France, which is 4.6. So we're talking about from 15 to 22 points scored only in transition, and that's just what happened in the first half, especially when Germany was unstoppable in that run.
And because of those transition opportunities, Dennis Schroeder actually managed to get 8 assists in the first 13 minutes of the game. He finished with 12 at the end of the
tying the EuroBasket record of this tournament.
Of this EuroBasket, and we have to say that Dennis was once again the guy that everybody now is talking about. If Dennis wins this EuroBasket, he might get into the Hall of Fame just because of his with his accomplishments with Germany's national team. And tonight, after I would say a subpar performances before in these playoffs, he finished with 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 12 assists in this game, and was plus 22, the highest plus minus in his team when Germany won by only 12 points. That means without him in those 8 minutes, they were minus 10. And just a great game. He started with 2 turnovers and finished with 5. So in the next 28 minutes, he just got like 3 turnovers and just scored on every shot, because Finland played that hedge and plug defense, which kind of denies the point guard from passing the ball to short roll. But he solved that problem by just keeping the ball and then making some really tough shots. And it's hard because you're not passing the ball to your teammates, but you're still finishing the possession with points, and that was so important. When he makes those couple of first shots, it's a completely different Dennis Schroeder, and it's so hard to stop him.
I just want to say, when you said 5 turnovers total, when you think about how many possessions there were in this game, that's not a lot of turnovers. Also, Dennis Schroeder was really good at getting into the paint and attracting a lot of defense, because he's just so fast. And the same thing goes with Franz Wagner. Together, combined, they shot 19 free throws in this game. France didn't have the best finishing night around from close to the rim. 3 of 11, the 2-pointers, but he actually nailed 3 3-pointers, which isn't very often sight you see from France. He's not a very stable shooter,
and so
that's a good sign.
3 in a row.
Yeah, actually 3 in a row. Yeah,
in the same sequence, like 3 or 5 minutes, let's say, period.
And I just wanted to add that also Schroeder was shooting much better, because I think the previous 2 games he was like 0 from 8 or 0 from 9 or combined it was probably 0 from 17 or something, or maybe 1 from 7.
He made 1. First 2 games of playoffs versus Portugal 0 of 7 and versus Slovenia 1 of 9, and he was 0 from 8.
Yeah.
So he made his last 3-pointer.
Yeah.
And Finland took a lot of risks. Schroeder was also one of those guys that they take those risks on, and they were not lucky. Franz Wagner was also the guy they kind of targeted defensively, letting him shoot. He was actually hot in the first half. I think he made 3 3-pointers in the first half. Yeah, that's correct. Which I think tied his tournament high in the competition. But at the same time, while things were not working that well in the first half, in the second, Finland made a lot of good adjustments, and their risks started to pay off, because in the second half they allowed only 37 points. And for instance, Franz Wagner missed all of his 6 field goals in the second half, scoring only 2 points. But Dennis, he stayed consistent. He scored 13 in the first half, and I think he finished with the 13 in the second half. So he was a true leader and helped Germany to push to the finals. And what's interesting, like, it was the 5th time in the competition when both France and Dennis scored 20-plus points in a game. And I'm just like thinking, are we having the best duo of the tournament?
Of this tournament?
Yeah.
Perhaps if you name me a better duo, I don't really know if there's any duos besides this one.
I mean,
There was a duo of Jokic and Bogdanovic, but Bogdanovic is out. So
this duo finished.
And when you include Daniel Tice, we're talking about big three. Maybe he's not scoring, his numbers are not that high, but his importance, his impact, defense, all-around presence on the court just makes a perfect big three for the FIBA tournaments.
And I think the last thing we have to mention talking about Germany's performance today, Finland scored 86. That's quite a lot, but knowing how many possessions there were, I think they did a great job defensively. They started slow, allowed some backdoors, but the idea today from Germany was just to switch it all up. On ball, off the ball, they started and they kept doing it for the majority of the game, I would say. And they really played an aggressive defense. They tried to deny. They tried to not allow Finland players to move easily. They moved without the ball very well. This was not allowed. And the flow of the Finland's offense was not as great as in the games before. And to me, the one stat which shows that Germany really played good defense is Sasu Salin, 0 of 3 field goals tonight in 16 minutes. He only got up 3 shots, and out of those, 1 was super rushed. So, you know, when you switch on every screen, not just on ball, but also on off ball, for the shooters, it becomes extremely tough. And we saw what happened in the game before when Finland played. They got so many threes, so many great shots just because of their offense, and the opponents were not switching. So I think this was key for Germans' win tonight, actually.
Lauri Markkanen was also contained again. He scored 16 on 6 of 17 shooting, so only 55%. Last time, Isaac Bonga was his nightmare. This time, Tristan da Silva also had his part.
In combination with Bonga and other wings.
And when you look at Lauri's performance, I mean, he had his 2 lowest scoring games against Germany. 11 in the group stage and now only 16, where it was really important.
It's something you can predict because, like, when you have Franz Wagner, Isaac Bonga, Daniel Tice, they're all like mobile. They're all very long compared to, you know, other teams. And whatever switch you have, it all works, and that's very difficult for Lauri. He was getting stuck. He had too many turnovers, just traveling a few times because he just met some help, you know, and he was contained. Other guys were actually stepping up pretty well. I mean, our beloved Slim Jesus hit the 3 3-pointers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 3 or 4.
Then also, and Kamwa, I'm not sure. Yeah. His performance, I really like watching him play. He's like this very skilled guy, actually, for a forward. Let's say he can play with the ball. He was hitting some turnaround jump shots from the mid range. I really like this play. The previous game had like a crazy attempt to posterize someone, almost jumped over somebody. So I'm hoping to see him at some point on a higher level competition.
I think talking about Nkamwa, I think his stock rised among the most in this EuroBasket from all the players. I mean, he just played in Germans league now. He signed with Varese in Italian league. I think he's now on the radar for European competition team for sure. After this EuroBasket, a power forward that can play with the ball this well, why not?
And for Finland, it was a good run. They had their chances in this fourth quarter, even just missed too many shots, really. They even tried the zone defense. We talked about that, but that backfired. You know, they wanted to maybe risk the three-pointer, but not allow those drives from France, from Schroeder. But then Germany, even though they missed a lot of shots, but still made a bit more than, let's say, in the first few knockout games against Portugal, only 28% versus Slovenia, 30% and 40% in this game. So, those risks didn't pay off, and then Germany secured the win.
If you're German, who you're not waiting in the final game?
I mean...
Is there any difference between Turkey and Greece?
I don't see big difference, really.
Which team would have a bigger shot at beating them? Which is less comfortable matchup.
To me, I said about Germany like from the beginning about the bigs. I said that's that one vulnerability, let's say, that they don't have, like besides Thijs and Thiemann, who are both undersized, they don't really have a big presence inside. And if Şengün can dominate, you know, like I was thinking, obviously, before Serbia went out of the tournament, I was imagining Serbia-Germany final. I was thinking that would be like something to exploit, you know, the bigs wouldn't be able to contain a big body like like Jokic, but of course Şengün is a bit smaller than Jokic, but still is quite dominant. So
Still, yeah.
I think it's more uncomfortable to face Turkey. But I mean, also you think about Giannis facing all these lengthy wings. Of course, Giannis is not marketing.
And his transition game, he leads the tournament in transition scoring. That would be a hell of a matchup as well.
Yeah, I don't really even know.
I think it's for Germany to lose still. So I think for them, it doesn't really have a big difference. But I think Greece, they would prefer Greece just because of there's no Şengün at the center position.
Probably.
But still, I don't see a really big difference for them.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to follow all of our channels because BasketNews.com is not an only channel to follow on YouTube. You mentioned Mika Murinen, and you just made this great video about him on Outside the NBA channel, which you must subscribe to as well. And of course, make sure to follow BasketNews.com Instagram and visit BasketNews.com for all the latest EuroBasket updates.
And subscribe, plus notifications on this channel too.